Hi everyone, this is Kenzie. Cyberpunk has bugs. Fortunately, this ain't what this is. This video is a special one. This is a story of deception, tempered expectations, a ton of heartache, and worst of all, a lot of melodrama, geez. This is Cyberpunk 2077, a game called unplayable by many and despised for its plenty of problems. But to be honest, I don't agree with the game being unplayable. Not because I don't have any performance issues or anything, oh trust me, I definitely did. But because if it were actually not able to be played, then I wouldn't have been able to witness this game's unlimited potential going to shit due to poorly handled development. I wish this game were actually unplayable, so I wouldn't have to witness this game's unreachable goals for the last generation of consoles. I wish this game were actually unplayable, so I wouldn't feel blatantly lied to by the higher-ups for saying that the game plays surprisingly well on last-gen consoles. I played this game on PS4 Pro, and here is my full, unfiltered experience. I'm not going for buzzwords or bandwagons or anything like that. Just remember this for the remainder of the video. No matter how much I beat the shit out of Cyberpunk, just know that I love this fucking game. And no matter how much I praise this game, just know that with all the love in my heart, I hate Cyberpunk.
CD Projekt, the guys that developed 2077, basically just scammed you and you just bought an unfinished garbage game that you can't even play through.
The game is still in an unpolished state, and consoles in particular, the console versions really, I cannot describe them as anything more than a disaster.
So my first real exposure to Cyberpunk 2077 was, this moment.
You're breathtaking!
Yeah, the E3 2019 Xbox showcase starring the lovely man-cake Keanu Reeves, who at the time I had no idea why this was such a big deal. Like honestly, I didn't know he played in Matrix, but I knew he was in John Wick. Both movies I've never seen, by the way. The game just looked like any other game, but the breathtaking thing was super wholesome. I had my eye on Keanu Reeves and the game after this, cause honestly, if someone this cool was starring in a game with this massive amount of crowd appeal, why wouldn't I? At this point, I was mildly interested in the game, but still not blowing my lid off trying to get a pre-order like everyone else, until I saw the gameplay demonstration. And that was where I was hooked. Reading that this game was made by CD Projekt Red, my first thought was, holy shit, the devs that made a game I didn't play with that character that was in Soul Calibur 6? But then I thought about it a little bit more. A well-received massive RPG with a sprawling fantasy open world with compelling characters, and those same people are making a huge RPG with a sprawling city open world with not only compelling characters but a very compelling story set in the not too distant possibility of cybernetic augmentation with thick-ass skill trees and a customizable character? And you can put a dick on them? Nah, I gotta get this shit. Then the marketing came up. Now here's the thing. The problematic marketing took place in 2018, while my actual exposure to the game was a year ahead in 2019, and then that's when I looked back at other things surrounding the game and found the marketing later on. While the marketing was definitely not made for me, the "did you just assume their gender" tweet was just fucking stupid. Didn't make the best impression on me, and while edgy marketing can work, this didn't appeal to me at all. Only after I was thoroughly convinced by the gameplay itself did I actually pre-order, and this stupid ass joke didn't change anything for me. Appealing to transphobia fucking sucks, and I sympathize with people that had a negative reaction to it. I don't think this kind of marketing is effective for building long-term goodwill with consumers, but that's all I'll say about that. Flash forward to the game getting delayed a third time. When I was actively fiending for this game to come out, I canceled the pre-order so I could pay off another game, Yakuza 7, and put the rest on Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. My thought process was simple. I'll play these since they're coming out sooner and I'll just pay for the game later. Now this part, I will take full blame on. I let myself fall for this one hook, line, and sinker. When CDPR said that the game ran surprisingly well on PS4 and Xbox One. Now, of course, I wasn't expecting the top-tier RTX 3080 experience on my PS4 Pro, but hearing that, I thought it would be at least a locked 30 frames targeting close to 4K, or a higher performance targeting 1080p, as is usual for games that have Pro Enhanced on the back of the box. but as we'll get to soon, obviously, that wasn't it. So yes, that is my full exposure to the game pre-release. I got called breathtaking, got lied to, got suckered in like a cow to a quarter pounder, and saw their official branded Twitter make a cringe-ass joke. So is the game at least worth all of that to me? But don't get me wrong, the reason why I got into the game was very different from the general public, I'm sure. In this case, I wanted a fully immersive RPG with a believable amount of fiction, while also being able to do whatever you wanted aside from the main story. At its core, the game smashed that goal with flying colors. Keep in mind that before the release, I downloaded Deus Ex Mankind Divided to be somewhat of a prep for Cyberpunk, and I couldn't really enjoy it because this character wasn't mine. So if there was a promise of my own created character being the star of the show, bitch, I am down. But yeah, enough backstory. You want the real shit? Here goes. The game is good, like good as fuck. People are allowed to disagree, but at its core, the game is truly something special to me. So how about I tell you why? It all starts with the presentation. The game heavily leans into the glitchy vision and the digital aesthetics all over this game. Even on the start screen, you aren't loading in, you are breaching, which is a nice touch. It's so up there that they had a clear vision in mind for what they wanted this game to look like. And I dig it. Character select bangs too. It was basically everything I wanted it to be. This is my V, or in my head, Joanna Dark. You can even customize the augments on their face and the genitals too, no matter what gender you decide to be. Gender is, however, tied to your voice, which is rather odd when compared to other games that allow you to select it separately. It's very obvious that they are trying to tell a deliberate story though, so I can let it slide. Besides that though, I was able to craft my character according to my vision beautifully. Then the game starts. I will give a proper spoiler warning here. I'm not going to try to spoil anything specific, however, past this point, I will not restrict my topics. I could literally talk about anything related to the game, so if you're trying to stay blind, then this video is not the place after this. If you don't care or are still down for the ride, then let's
get glitched,
shall we? So I started this game on the Street Kid playthrough. My reasoning was that I wanted my V, or Joanna, to be a badass gangster that don't take shit from nobody. And this beginning delivered on that, with people knowing you all around this little bar is the one to go to for anything that requires a whole lot of gang shit. Walking around though, felt a little stiff. Before you start playing this game, at least on PS4, make sure you set your dead zone to 1. Trust me, it makes this game feel more and less like helps to immerse me much more when my camera movements match my stick movements. Our first mission is to talk to this sleaze named Kirk. He says that we have a chance to steal a nice ass set of wheels with his key that will most certainly work and won't backfire on us at all.
get the fuck out.
Well, shit. Well, being a gangster has its downsides, but one upside is that on the streets, you make friends. This is Jackie Wells, a nice hunk of man that you will call your chumba. He's a good guy who just wants his slice of the pie. He's a genuinely nice dude, and I loved every time he was on screen because he was just so realistically portrayed. His relatability was on point, and him constantly thinking about his SO, Misty, thinking about the next scheme, I don't know, I liked it. I really liked Jackie. Shortly after you meet Jackie and powwow with him for the bit, the game shows you this presentation of all the cool shit you could be doing, but like, no! We don't get to play any of this. The game is like dangling a fucking carrot in my face, showing me literally everything they went through 6 months before you get to play again, and that sucks. I want to lose that tooth. I want to meet Jackie's mom. I want to take on risky jobs and meet Padre. I want to do all this cool shit. But whatever, I guess I'll just believe that I did it. Or whatever. And it's crazy too, because I thought that this montage was pre-rendered, but no, there's textures loading in. Classy. After that, we end up in a car getting ready to fuck some shit up and extract this woman. You have the option of either skipping the tutorial or playing through it. But why would you skip this? This is like the most consistently goofy thing you can do in this game. First of all, the tutorial has weird issues with loading you in and making your camera drift or making you walk by yourself. It's also the best showcase of how genuinely awful the melee combat is. It's so janky and so ugly looking, it just looks unfinished. It works obviously, but damn, this feels rough. Especially when the AI is fighting back with the intent to kill you. Ugh. gross. This mission though was an excellent way to introduce the player to not only stealth mechanics if you choose to do them, but to the gunplay in general, which I feel like is a hit or miss depending on your preferences or your settings. For me though, they feel fine, but I was dead set on using the katana for the rest of the game. And the game allows you to do that. From the moment I got one all the way to the point that I stopped playing, it has not only been my most effective way to jack the rip my ass across the city, but it was also much more fun. While I can shoot a gun in any game with guns, not a lot of games allow you to cleave a fucker with the jank-ass animation, but whatever, get them coins, sis. After you save Sandra Dorset is where the game truly opens up and lets you stretch your legs. And this is also where this Jenga tower starts losing a few more bricks. Plain and simple, this city is not well optimized for last gen. It tries to hold its lunch on PS4 Pro, but it stutters constantly on patch 1.06. Remember when I brought up the PS4 Pro Enhanced a while ago? Time to get reckless. The automatic thought should be, oh wait, it says the game is enhanced, so that must mean the performance is fine no matter what resolution it's at, but runs better the lower the resolution gets. The game doesn't even give you the choice. If anything, playing this game on Pro isn't an enhancement, but a requirement. The game doesn't even have a performance mode and a fidelity mode. It literally does not let you choose. A game that struggles to stay at 30 if more than 2 NPCs look in your general direction is not enhanced, it's fucked. Don't lie to your consumers just because it's a little blurb on the back of the box. And I'm sure someone will say, technically the game is enhanced because it runs at a higher frame rate and resolution than the base model. Okay, let's go with that. Your micro penis could grow 2 centimeters tomorrow. Yeah, that's technically an enhancement, but you still have a micro penis. Moving on, so getting to the Ripper Doc, basically the plastic surgeon of cybernetics, is one of my favorite parts of the whole game. One of the things I love about this game and other games like it is that the cutscenes are in real time with no perspective changes. It helps the immersion immensely. Hearing them talk and use soft lingo with each other while Joanna gets cybernetic augs like it's normal, that hooked me hard. I have a huge thing for the cyberpunk aesthetic and the cyberpunk world. That is one of the things this game gets right. Another thing that got me roped right in was talking to Dex, your new crime dealer. Basically, I love this method of immersion. We need more games with first-person interactive cutscenes. Now here's where I'm gonna skip ahead to where the game reaches what I'd like to call the second act, or the real beginning of the game. Your task from Dex is to steal a robot doggy, and after that, shit hits the fan. And this happens, and you get away with Jackie. This is also where the biggest heart tug happens, when Jackie dies.
Jackie, don't close your eyes!
Misty, hush, no.
I reached the peak of immersion here. I didn't want to lose Jackie, and I felt like in a way, I got to know him just as much as Joanna did. Then his eyes grew dull and the life escaped his eyes. The loading screen came up, then...
You want to fill your dark soul with light!
No, this isn't happening! There's no reason for me to
Headfirst
go
dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. It gives me goosebumps every time he does it.
I had to relive Jackie's death, the inventory management from when I got all of my items back, and the dialogue choices that I made during the whole car ride twice. That broke me. That moment is why I started making this video. This is what I think the real main problem with this game is right now. In other games where I've crashed in any capacity, I have never been able to crash on command or this much. In Cyberpunk, I felt unsafe if I didn't have a full stock of 20 saves at the ready after Jackie's death crash. I saved after every purchase, every enemy encounter, every rare drop, and even every weapon disassemble, because disassembling weapons makes the game freak out too. It put me in a state of panic whenever the frames dropped to 0 and the sound stopped, because that could either mean a crash or just something loading in because I arrived too fast. Rarely did the bugs completely kill the experience for me, but these crashes bring the experience to a screeching halt. Immersion was a flat 0 whenever a crash happened. Funnily enough, trying to record a crash was unsuccessful, but off the record, I crashed almost every long play session. I saved like this was the goddamn Elite Four, bitch. Shit's stressful. And even though crashing became only a minor inconvenience after my saving habits ascended, the load times upon every crash made it so much more annoying. Now, I don't have a precious new console or a juicy PC with a nice ass SSD, so my load times are thick, but the game has long load times on last gen, and it still neglects to load everything after them. Animations and sounds take a while to play on their first uses, and at times stay janky even during use. I feel like the game loads the bare minimum, puts you in the game, then loads more as you go, but to be honest, I don't mind a longer load screen if it means that when my gun comes out, I'll actually see it. Let's just hope it'll get patched out soon. Ugh. Okay. I've bitched for a long time now, but what is the point of bitching if there's no solution? Well, there is another game. A game that holds up way better and loads for longer, but at the same time, the game crashes less on me. It looks great with a very small amount of textures loading full seconds after you see them. The game is Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds won awards, and for a very good reason. The game is genuinely a masterpiece, and the only thing separating this game and the Outer Worlds is a flaw system and the lack of Judy and Panam. But seriously, if you want to try to achieve the experience of Cyberpunk or are waiting for it to get patched and you need something to hold you over, get this game, please. You will love it. And if you're even remotely interested in Cyberpunk, go play it right now. Like, go do it, goddammit. Practice self-care this year and play the game, you cute piece of shit. Okay, so what's the takeaway here? Cyberpunk is still a hilarious dumpster fire. The crashes, alongside shit like this, should be the first things taken care of. Best girl is Panam, and the shittiest part about this whole thing is how good the game is before it takes a poopy on itself. That, and I have waking nightmares every time I see this game in stores. I don't really care about this. I want nothing more than for this game to succeed, and not just financially or whatever, cause money comes and goes, but I want nothing more than for my burning hatred for this amazing game to be nothing but enjoyment. I want the devs to be able to go home without having to worry about getting crunched to fix this shit. I want the people in charge to realize that
you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
And most of all, I want to say thank you to the devs that brought this experience to life. They obviously crunched hard and made an honest effort to bring a vision to life, and I can see that, but no, I hate Cyberpunk. For all of the unintended and intended consequences it brought with its creation. Even with that though, the game is worth playing. I like knowing that I can, at least in a very small way, I can support what the devs worked so hard for. This game wasn't made to not be played. It is a great game and a great experience, but sometimes it just is what it is, and that's about it. I hope that the longer length wasn't a huge departure from my shorter content, but this was one I felt needed to be made. If you have any opinions on Cyberpunk at all, put them down below. I like reading comments, and if you hate or love Cyberpunk, I would like to know why. And stay safe this year, but most importantly, stay cute, you lovely chumbas.